Jumbo and welcome to the final tutorial on Git. That's how to ignore files to be tracked in Git. So we can tell Git to ignore certain files. You need to first of all create an ignore file in the root of the program. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to create the root is here. It's the test. So I'm going to open it and create a .ignore file. So .ignore is supposed to be in the root of the program. I don't know why it's not going up. Okay, move. That's it. Yes, so this is the root of the program. And then in .ignore, we can tell it which file specifically to ignore, and one of them is let me create a new file, and then we can list that file into the .ignore file itself. So if I create a new file that's let's say passwords .txt, and if I do git status now, it's going to tell me we have .ignore. And so first of all, I forgot. Let me first delete this. Sorry, we need to commit this ignore. So if I do git status, yeah, so we need to commit first that ignore file, then git commit, then with a message saying adding git ignore file. And I'm sure of that because we are in the main. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so clear. Then I need to navigate backwards to the test folder, and then I'll say git status. Let me see if it's in the staging area. Okay, you see, so git add. Okay, so if I do git status, it should be green as of now. Going to clear and then git commit, then with a message which says adding ignore file. Okay, that's it. So if I do git status again, nothing to commit. Let me clear that. So we are now ready. So to ignore a file, let me say we are going to add a file here on the root saying passwords.txt. We need to rename this. Sorry, passwords.txt. If I do git status, it should be there. Okay, but if I want to ignore that, because sometimes you don't want your passwords to go to be collaborated on, what we can do is just put in passwords.txt and then save the file. If I do that and do git status, you see, sorry, I want to first of all clear and then git status. I'm wondering why .ignore. Okay, git will be committed. Just a second, let me find out. Okay, so let's try this. Maybe this needs to be renamed to be .git ignore, right? Remember we said to delete commits, which we are going to do is I'm going to do git log, then q. I'm going to do git reset. Is it really git reset or git so to delete the specific commit, we are going to do is I'm not going to do proper delete of the file. I'm going to do a soft delete. So git reset, then it's going to be soft, then head. Sorry about that, it's just that my keyboard is clunky. One, then if I do git log, Yep, I've removed the adding of that gitignore file. So if I do git status, okay, then this gitignore. So I'm going to git add, then git status. Yeah, I've added that. Then I'm going to remove this, so and then save it, then git status. Voila. And then it's showing right now, but I want to, first of all, let me delete this just to simplify this thing, because it's going to confuse you a lot. So if I do git status at the moment, it's just the gitignore file. Remember, right before we had just done .ignore, but it's gitignore. I'm not going to delete the mistake I did, because this is programming and this is how it works. Sometimes you make mistakes, you have to go research, Google, Stack Overflow, and then get solutions for it. So we had called it .ignore, but instead of .gitignore. Okay, so I'm going to commit this. So first of all, I'm going to do git add, and I'm going to add everything. If I do git status, it should be green everything. Clear that. Then after that, I'm going to do git commit with a message that says adding ignore file, right? Boom. If I do git log, that should be the most recent in the head, right? Adding ignore file. It's now added. As you can see, it has an icon to the left. Then I press Q to exit. I'm going to clear. Now to ignore a file, I'm going to create a file on the route called passwords.txt. okay, then if I do git status right now, it says this is a working file and it needs to be staged, because it's not been staged. It's tracking that change. But if I come to the gitignore file and just put in passwords.txt and save, that's how we ignore. If we do git status, see, it says gitignore file has been what is it? Let me clear so that you have git status gitignore. You see, it's just modified. It says the gitignore file is modified, but it's not saying passwords, okay, because it's ignoring the passwords file. So I'll just git add. But alternatively, I want to show you also how you can be able to ignore certain file extensions in general. Okay, so I want to ignore, let me, so pdtr.pdf. I'm just putting files, okay. I'm just using certain, then I'll create another one with ffth.pdf. That's it. Okay, so if I go to git status at the moment, it's going to show us all these files. You see, all the PDF files by the git. But if I want to block a certain file extension, I can just do I just do regex, regular expressions, then .pdf. Okay, so this is going to ignore all file extensions that you put here. In this case, I want to ignore PDF files. Okay, so git status, let me first clear to get some space, then git status. See, it ignores those two files. So this is how we ignore a file, this is how we ignore a certain file extension. And then if we want to have one file, let's say I create another one, which is tyth2.pdf, okay, and I want this to be tracked. As much as I've said PDFs here should not be tracked, I can use the exclamation, then put tyhyt.pdf, right, and save it. If I do git status right now, see, it's being tracked now. Okay, so that's how you put an exception of the files that are supposed to be tracked. We can also ignore a whole directory and the way we put a whole directory is the name and then use regular expressions as well. So I'm going to put it here and say a new folder called database, and inside it I'm going to put SQL or table.sql, right? If I do clear and then git status, it is tracking all of them. As you can see, the whole database folder is being tracked. I don't want that to happen. I want everything in this folder plus the folder itself to be ignored. So what I'm going to do is put in the folder here. So I'll say database and everything in it with that asterisk. If I save and then come to git status, see, ignored completely. It's just the file that we put an exception for and the gitignore file itself. Okay, so that's how you are able to ignore everything through your repository. And GitHub also uses the same type of syntax to ignore files. That's it for this tutorial. See you in the next video where we'll be starting to learn about GitHub.